Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Caroline Garnett McGraw with The Clearing, and we are a non 12-step dual diagnosis residential addiction treatment center. Translation: we're a place where you learn how to heal your underlying core issues, the things that are really fueling the drug and alcohol abuse, and teach you how to stop hating yourself. And today's topic is, how do you prevent addiction in your family? Because obviously, the work that we do is helping people who are already struggling with addiction. But a lot of times we get asked the question, how do I prevent this in my own family? How do I do things differently? How do I support my kids so that they don't have the same struggle? And on one hand, we know that everyone has their own path in life and that we cannot control or even really fundamentally change another's path. But there are things that we can do to create a really supportive environment for the people that we love and for our own families that helps to prevent addiction from taking root in the first place. And before we start, I also do want to make a point that the relationship between genetics and addiction, we're just now beginning to understand the heritability and the genetic code essentially that predisposes some people more to addiction than to others. But outside of that, we really want to focus in today on what can you control? What choices can you make? How can you be empowered to help prevent addiction within your own family? So the resource that I am using to guide this video is Dr. Gilberto Guerra, and I had the privilege of interviewing him for The Clearing in 2017. And he actually works with the United Nations in Vienna, I believe. And he is the addiction expert who runs the Drug Prevention and Health Branch for the UN Office of Drugs and Crime. So it's fair to say that he knows quite a bit about drug addiction issues. And when we spoke, he shared 3 key steps that families can take to help create a healthy environment, really, and to create a place of connection and thereby help prevent drug addiction. Because here's what we know. We actually know that addiction is about a fundamental human need to connect to something. And when we feel blocked from connecting to our true selves and connecting to each other, that is when we're most likely to turn to substances for relief and for connection. If you're intrigued by this idea, I highly recommend Johann Hari's TED Talk, which is Everything You Think You Know About Addiction is Wrong. And he talks about this idea that when we can't connect to ourselves and to each other, that's when we turn to substances, because human beings are really wired for connection. But for today, I want to focus on Dr. Guerra's insights of how we can connect with each other, how parents can connect with their children. And these are really straightforward strategies. They're accessible. They don't require you to spend a lot of money or even to make that large of a change in your schedule. It's just being really intentional about the time that you have with your family members. And these are specifically for parents relating to children, but you can extrapolate the principles from these and really use them in any family relationship. So, that being said, the first principle is to share your undivided attention. Give someone the gift of your full and undivided attention. Again, that sounds simple, but in our very, very hyper-connected world, it really is unique and it is special to be able to look someone in the eye and just say, talk to me. I hear you. I'm paying attention. I'm holding space for you. And this means you're not looking at your iPad, you're not looking at your phone, you're not trying to do 5 other things at once while you're having this conversation. You're just being present to the person in front of you. Now, I understand that that's a big shift for a lot of people, and you might be wondering, well, why is this important? So really the fundamental reason is that giving someone your full attention signifies that they're important to you, that what they have to say is valuable to you. It's a signal of receptivity, of honoring the relationship. And as I said, it's become rarer and rarer in this very distracting world that we live in. And often inadvertently, we might give our our loved ones only bits and pieces of our attention as opposed to our full and undivided attention. Now, if you've been accustomed to spending a lot of distracted time with your kids or with your family members, then the key thing to remember here is start small. You don't want to go from, spending no undistracted time with them to spending 6 hours of total undistracted time with them. That might be a little too intense and a little too overwhelming. And so what we encourage, well, I should say what Dr. Guerra encourages, is to really start small. Start with something like 5 minutes at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, where you just say, tell me what's going on with you. Just ask a really simple question. You don't have to make a big production about it. Just relate in the way that feels normal for you, with the difference being don't allow any distractions. Turn off your phone, put it away. For those 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is, just focus on your child. Really tune in. Also, important, don't go in with an agenda. Just go in to listen. See what comes up. Let them tell you what's going on for them and just be present and just listen. You don't have to fix anything. You don't have to save anything. Just listen. Be attentive, be open-hearted, and give them the gift of your attention. So that's the first one. The second one is to model support and relational engagement, especially when your loved one fails. So the example Dr. Guerra gave is if your child has failed a test and they come home distraught and just, feeling really low, feeling really down. Or it could be when your spouse hasn't gotten a promotion at work that they really wanted, or when your teenager didn't get into the college that they wanted to go to. So when they're in those low moments, really modeling the support, the engagement, letting them know that you are on their team, and that while they may be distressed about the circumstances, they can rest assured that they are not alone in those circumstances because you are there with them. So a way to communicate that to them is obviously giving them your undivided attention. That's a great place to start. But also to say something like, you know what? Let's work together next time so that you do better on that test. That's an example for a child. Or if it's a peer, you might say something such as, how can I support you? What do you need to hear? How can I hold space for you? If it's someone in need, maybe can I bring you a meal? Offer to give some practical support and just let them know that they're not alone with what they're struggling with. Again, you don't necessarily need to fix it. You just need to let them know that they're not isolated with it. And as a side note, it can also be very empowering for them if you do not jump in and try and fix it, but instead just communicate your belief in them and their abilities. So something such as, that sounds really tough, and I know that you can handle it. Or that sounds really tough, and I know you've come through tough times before and you've done a great job. Communicate your belief in their abilities and their capacity to solve whatever is going on. And of course, if they ask you for help, that's great. But, really communicate that they're strong and that they have resources to handle their own life. And then the third one, especially this is really geared toward children, is to provide real supervision, but do not give up when it gets challenging. This is such a tough one because obviously none of us like to get lots of disapproval and lots of antagonism and even hatred thrown our way. And the example that Dr. Guerra gave is asking your teenager, where are you going? Who are you going to be with? Whose house are you going to? What are your plans? And having the teenager really resent that. Gosh, mom and dad, you're so controlling. They want to know where I am. I hate that. And Dr. Guerra reminds us that might be what you hear from your teenager, and that might be legitimately what they're thinking and how they're feeling in that moment. But that's all happening on the conscious level. On the subconscious level, what they're registering when you ask questions such as, where will you be? What time will you be home? What they hear on an unconscious level is I matter. I'm part of the family and I matter. And so that's why it's important to not to be a nuisance, not to be a nag or be annoying by any means, but to be considerate and to honor your role as their parent, as someone who is saying, I care about you, send me a text when you get there, perhaps, if that's appropriate, or, be home by 11 p.m., setting that boundary that you've established before. That really signifies that you care about them. You care about their well-being. You care if they arrive safely. And again, there is a fine line. You don't want to hover. Of course, you want to honor growth and independence, yes. But you also want to honor if they're under 18, if they're living at home with you, that you are the one who is taking care of them and is charged with, in some degree, their well-being. And so asking those questions and being prepared to face some of the criticism and some of the annoyance and all of this, but knowing that you are communicating through your interest that they matter and that that's something they carry with them. My mom or dad cares enough to ask where I am and to know where I'm going. And so here's the most important point to remember about our family systems, that we can give our best care and our best love and our best attention to the people around us, but ultimately that their choices belong to them. So there's sort of a paradox at the heart of this video, that on one hand, these strategies really do help and they really do reinforce our family members' perceptions that they matter and that we care about them. And on the other hand, it's also true that we all make our own choices and that we cannot blame our parents or anyone else for our own choices. So I just wanted to highlight that as we close, and also to share the wise and funny words of Glennon Doyle, who is recovering from alcohol abuse, bulimia, a whole host of other things. And she says that family is the final frontier. So if you're struggling with how to connect with your family, know that her point being that it's the hardest to make those connections with the people who are closest to us, that family is that final frontier for connection, for engagement. And you are not alone if you're struggling with it, but also that you do have the power to make positive changes. So as we wrap, I just do want to take a look at the comments. I know we have some engaged viewers watching and listening. Scarlett says hello. Margie says hello. Oh, thank you, Scarlett. Yes, Dr. Guerra had some great wisdom to share. And I will post in the comments, I'll post a link to our interview with Dr. Guerra so you can listen to everything that he had to share. And I'll also post a link to our last video on facing up to family trauma, where we covered some of the dynamics of these challenging family relationships and how they impact us as well. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Oh, and you can always visit us at our website, www.theclearingnw.com. Once again, www.theclearingnw.com. And I'm just grabbing the phone number for you as well. Oh yes, so for free confidential calls about your mental health issues or substance abuse issues, you can always give us a call at 425-275-8600. Once again, that's 425-275-8600. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.